Hello, this is Pixie doing another video. So, quick thoughts on MGTOW. I think as blokes it's important to educate both your daughters, if you've got a daughter, educate your males, just make them aware that things aren't always plain sailing as they appear, and that different sexes have different set agendas that they want to achieve, have things, social markers and all sorts of stuff. And for men it's more interested in attaining power and resources, and for the female, having access to different resources. Maybe they want to acquire some themselves, but they're not so obsessed by men. Men in the same way. I don't think so. And there are some women that are money mad, I guess, and but it's to enrich themselves, so they like to elevate themselves socially. You know, you might have a man who's money mad who doesn't want to spend any money, and then you might have a woman that's money mad who wants to spend money. Clearly quite a big difference. You know, these models don't necessarily are sort of the main stereotype. But the social, one's I guess males would be considered antisocial quite a lot of the time, and women are social creatures. So that's one of the things. Men go off and do things on their own, like, hey, I'm doing a video on my own, or things like Facebook. I don't sit around chatting to people and writing lots of comments and posts and stuff. I haven't got time. Anything I'm interested, things that spark my interest. So I'm driven by my interest. But I won't be so interested in things like accountability so much. I have a duty, I carry things out, the task to completion, but I won't worry about the past. And I don't worry about the future either, really. Because it's always changing, so it's not really a big issue, just take things as they come. But people have different structures. I remember I said that about at the past. Oh, thank you. Go, 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 go. It's a green light, not a red one. Alright. So yeah, I remember talking to someone and saying about I just basically just forget my past and just let it go. And like, what? It doesn't hold me in a situation where I think I'm not good enough, I'm good enough for this or not. Because some experiences you don't want to hang on to. You realise that, like beliefs, they slow you down. So it was a bigger part of psychology that I entered when I started doing stuff like hypnotherapy, and I'm looking at that you can reprogram your memories and you can reassign different values to them. So then you're not in fear of being judged. So some people say don't be scared of being judged. So they can judge me, it doesn't really matter, because I'm not going to validate myself by someone else. However, some do. Some people do. Often there's a collective consciousness or a collective working with females, and that's quite normal. There's even at face value they seem like they're all getting along. Under the surface there may be some resistance there. They may be seeking to dominate the matriarchy. But when you're in a patriarch, you go off with your energy and your resources. You can divorce yourself from other groups of men. Depends if you want some sort of social validation. And as a result, you don't become kind of contained by that stress. But equally, there's like the tomboys, the girls that sort of a bit more of a masculine outlook on things. And equally, they might prefer male company over female because they're not so keen on getting caught up with the matriarchal hierarchies in society. And it doesn't matter that they exist. You just whether you're a man or a female, you just need space sometimes because it can get a bit sort of claustrophobic and stuff. It can kind of choke you a little bit. Like social media, I get these blooming things pinging you, it's been so many days since you made an update on your status. That's because there's nothing to make up that's going to be that interesting. And I'm busy making money. That's what it's all about. And then I'm also got the additional time that I'm not focused on food because I'm on the OMAD or chasing the idea of relationships. Then we're fine. I mean, MGTOW is probably a wrong reference. I mean, it's okay, but a man just being a man, that's what it really is. Men have a kind of singularity about them anyway. It's when they fall in love or they get into relationships, their kind of whole brain resyncs up, and I guess it messes them up a bit as well. Because I think they just throw all of their chips in the ring because they have a kind of analog way of thinking in certain situations, like yes and no. It's not maybes and could be and will be. I mean, if there's a tendency to sort of say, okay, so when are you going to do it? You sort of push for a narrative because it just generates sort of stress and confusion in blokes, I guess. They're just thinking about will it happen, won't it happen, I'm going to chase them, I'm going to find out. And so that's why there's different mindsets. And for some men, they need to work on that logical part of their brain, that side of things. And I think for some females, they need to be aware of their deeper emotional sides of themselves, how they project themselves. It's okay to have games whereby their body wants to know how I relate to emotional situations, and so they set up reactions and see how I respond. It's no different than a logical, I debate with somebody I bring up something on a subject and I want to see people's opinions. That's no different than testing somebody, how they respond, I don't know. Like if I touch him on the shoulder, would he be offended by that, or how does he respond, or if I disagree with him. It was a bit like someone went out, I remember talking to this client and she said about some boyfriend in the past, and she wore these pink cowboy boots or something. He said, oh, aren't you going to wear a different pair of boots if you're going to go out? And that pretty much set up so he wasn't successful at dating her. He said, no, he's obviously too controlling, he's telling me what to wear. So he sort of failed this test. So it's just a kind of emotional, how did he respond emotionally to the situation? And I guess that's why the other thing for men, when they're dealing with stressful situations, it can be work in their favour. That's why you always see these romantic movies, the guy's saving the woman. It's not the fact he's saving her, I think he's dealing with, where are you going? You're not indicating either. It doesn't really help me. So yeah, or putting skills to use that change some outcome. To having skill set. So yeah, for men it's about amounting resources and power. For women it's about kind of how to utilise them and the maintaining social order and stuff like that. Structure. That's why a lot of the laws are matriarchal. You might have people sat there, but they got big curly wigs on, and they're wearing sort of some big red outfit. They're not really. You could argue that's kind of like a sort of feminised thing, really. But yeah, it's important, I think, to educate other men on it, and some men are beyond education. They are very romantic ideals. They're sold that if the more they become more subservient to the cause, the more they're likely to achieve it. When the opportunity comes to prove themselves to women, they throw themselves in the way. You know, all sorts of things. Like, you couldn't have a disagreement without a bloke jumping in with a woman. And I had that with a female boss. She was okay for her to be fiery, but as soon as I stood my ground, the guy got ready there as if I was gonna clock her or something. I said no. I just basically said no. That's not what I actually did, actually. So I was just being firm. I wasn't being nasty. But it's obviously this guy thought he needed to be a hero or something. And what you do with people like that, you just call them out and say, look mate, I think she can fight her own battle. She doesn't need some guy like you jumping in and playing hero. Just really hammer him in, because then he makes her look weak and he'll back down. I say, actually call for reinforcements, because I don't like the way you've just got up and you started entering into this conversation or whatever. You just need to, because they will basically it's up to you to dispatch males before she says, yeah, well, I don't want him here or whatever. And they'll be like, yeah, you've got to leave now, and he'll get in the way because he's desperate for approval. I don't want that kind of situation. Right, anyway, this is Pixie signing off this video, and I'll speak to you soon.